Hi, everybody. It's Brian from Hillspring. Just want to check in on you. I just had an interesting experience a little bit ago. I had to go to the veterinarian to pick up a prescription for my dog. And I knew this was going to happen before I got there. I had to stop in the parking lot and I had to call and wait for them to bring out the prescription. And same time, there was another gentleman in the parking lot. And he apparently didn't know that was the new policy. And he obviously didn't like it. And I think behind his reaction, there was fear and anxiety. I think for all of us, things are changing really quickly, and we don't really have that sense of status quo, and we don't really know what to expect. I was thinking about how we can help each other through this time. We do have to change life as we know it right now. We have a very real issue with the coronavirus. We need to keep ourselves healthy. We need to keep those who we love healthy. I think a lot about my parents right now, and so many others who frankly need to just stay inside. And I was thinking about a story that I've shared before. It's been a while, and it came from I've heard about it from this book, Good to Great. Some of you may have read it, and it's a book a man named Jim Collins wrote, more of a business leadership book, just really, really great stuff. But he talked about Admiral Stockdale, who was a prisoner of war in Vietnam, in the Hanoi Hilton, and just underwent horrible, horrible things and made it through that situation. And so Collins interviewed him and asked him, how did he get through it? And, what did he notice? Who were the people who made it through that experience, who did not? And I'm going to share Stockdale's words when he asked those very questions. Stockdale says, "I never lost faith in the end of the story. I never doubted not only that I would get out, but also that I would prevail in the end and turn the experience into the defining event of my life, which in retrospect I would not trade." We talk about the difference between Kairos and Chronos a lot. It seems like around every Christmas time I talk about Chronos and Kairos, and those two words in Greek for time. Kairos is the large events. Chronos is minute to minute. That's where we get chronology, just our normal everyday time. But Kairos events are beyond our norm. It's like when you graduated high school, when you had your first date, maybe the day you were married. They can be very difficult events when you lose someone, when you go through a divorce. And often they become the defining moments of our lives. We look back and this just made a huge impact on me. I think this can be a Kairos moment, and it can certainly be a defining point in all of our lives. I'm going to read a little bit more of this after Stockdale said that this can be a defining event in my life. Jim Collins writes, "I didn't say anything for many minutes and continued the slow walk toward the faculty club. Stockdale limping and arc swinging his stiff leg that had never fully recovered from repeated torture. Finally, after about 100 meters of silence, I asked, who didn't make it out? Oh, that's easy, he said, the optimists. The optimists? I don't understand. The optimists, they were the ones who said, we're going to get out by Christmas, and Christmas would come and Christmas would go. Then they'd say, we're going to get out by Easter, and Easter would come and Easter would go. And then Thanksgiving, and then it would be Christmas again, and they died of a broken heart. Another long pause, more walking. He turned to me and said, this is a very important lesson. You must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be. Life can be unfair. I wish that were not true. Not one of us would have ever in our wildest dreams wanted to experience this coronavirus. And I don't know, it may be days, it may be weeks, maybe months. We need to realize this is our situation. On the other hand, we need to never, ever, ever, ever lose the hope and the reality that we are going to make it through. It's going to be okay. We need to find some ways to stay connected. We as a staff and leadership, we're going to try to have a video every day, just so we can all stay connected. I'm hoping that it'll move beyond the staff, just people in our church, and just checking in on everybody. I also think this is a great opportunity for us. We're all going to have some discretionary time on our hands. And we can sit around and we can, play the Xbox and we can watch TV. We can also decide, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to create a couple lifelong habits. About the beginning of the year, I read an essay on the difference between goal setting and just starting a habit. People were thinking about their New Year's resolutions, and they said, most people, they'll set a goal at the beginning of the year and it'll last a couple weeks maybe. But if we can determine we're going to set a new habit for our life and keep working on that. Good example, I might have a goal, I'm going to read 2 books a week, or I might say, I'm going to make a habit that I'm going to start reading every day. I'm going to read for 10 minutes a day for a week. And then I'm going to read for 20 minutes a day for a week. And then that third week, I'm going to read for half an hour a day. We can do that. Maybe for your prayer life, having a habit. I'm going to pray, spend time with God, listening to God, taking my fear, my anxiety to God every single day. Study guide. We have a daily study guide that we offer. It's been print. We're actually looking at a couple other options to do for that, but having some daily Bible study. Spending maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I think the study guide, probably 5 minutes a day and they go along with the messages, and we'll continue online worship with online messages. Plenty of read the Bible strategies in a year, 3 years online. There's tons of that stuff. You can find that. But what would you like to, at the end of this time, look back and say, I grew in my ability to do this. Maybe working out at home. Maybe you can't go to the gym, but there's plenty you can do at home to work out. I would love for us to use this as an opportunity to find new ways to connect. You can't go to Starbucks and sit and drink a cup of coffee with your friend, but you could have coffee with a friend via FaceTime or some other tech alternative. We need to reach out. Our goal as a leadership team right now is simply to find ways for our church to connect in this new reality. And we're going to be talking about that more and more. You are important. You're part of a community. And we can't lose that connection. We're going to make it out of this. And we can be stronger, and we can look back, and we can realize God worked so profoundly in the midst of that experience. That was a defining moment in my life. Or we can watch a bunch of TV, or whatever. Not that you shouldn't watch TV. I'm sure, we've been reading through 2 Corinthians, and I think This passage, I read it Sunday. It really has been speaking to me, and thinking about the experience in the parking lot at the vet. And I think Paul's words are so critical for us to hear right now. It comes from the 4th chapter, 2 Corinthians. And, 2 Corinthians is really all about suffering. If we think about Philippians, it's Paul's letter of joy. If we think about Galatians, he's really mad when he writes Galatians. He's just angry. 2 Corinthians, he is suffering. He's had some relational issues with the Corinthians, and it just went bad and then got worse and worse, and he's going through some personal torture, Paul. And he writes these beautiful words, and I think they're important for us. He says, "We have this treasure in clay jars, so that it may be made clear that this extraordinary power belongs to God and does not come from us. We're afflicted in every way, but we're not crushed. Perplexed, but not driven to despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Struck down, but not destroyed. Always carrying in the body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may be also made visible in our bodies." We're children of God. God breathed his breath in us and gave us life. We need to share that life with others. And we can't do it old-fashioned analog right now. Let's find digital ways to be community. Find ways that we can encourage one another, that we can reach out to others. Ways that we can be the church. I said Sunday, Jesus never, ever in his wildest dreams would have thought of church as a building or a place that you go to. Same with Paul. It's people. It's a movement. It's those who are bringing about the kingdom in this world. Our world needs the kingdom. How can you move that metric a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further? I can't wait to see you in person. I want you to know I love you. You're part of our community. And I'm praying for all of you. Amen.